Finally. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are finally reviewing the long-awaited Mortal Kombat movie. Before we dive into the film though, I just want to take this moment to say thank you to you all. The channel has received quite a few views, likes, comments, subscribers and so on in the last week or so, and I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to take this moment to say thank you. You're alright, you lot. You're alright. It has been out for a little while now. I've only just managed to get around to this. It actually took me 2 viewings to finalise my real opinions on it as well, which is why it took a little bit longer. So I am going to be discussing the spoilers. Just be aware of that. So diving straight into Mortal Kombat. My first viewing of this was very mixed. I actually wrote down a few questions for myself to answer after watching, and they were questions like, did I enjoy it? Did it bore me? Did it hold my attention? Was it filmed well? And the answers to these questions were so yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, maybe, that it just felt inconclusive. And that's why I wanted to sit down and watch it again and just really submerge myself into what I thought about it. Really see if I'm okay with a couple of things. Because this film makes some very, very bizarre choices, if you ask me. The character of Cole, who is the main character, and is not a known fighter from the franchise of Mortal Kombat. He's not in any of the games. He's just been created for this purpose, to be a walkthrough guide for its audience. Yet he is single-handedly the most boring character in any Mortal Kombat movie. I'll include Annihilation in that conversation. Characters in Annihilation are more interesting than Cole Young. He is just unwritten at times. He's that badly developed as a character. The story around him makes no sense. Why he was chosen makes no sense. His relationship with other fighters makes no sense. And what really actually annoys me about his inclusion in this movie is, basically, this is the studio telling the audience that you're all a bunch of idiots and you don't know what you want. And that's not true. Mortal Kombat has been a popular franchise since the 90s. It's won awards, it's made endless amounts of money. They're still doing great today. If anything, like, I'm not a big gamer, but one thing I hate about the gaming community are games that are released that are unfinished and they're still charging 60, 70 quid for them. That's a big reason why I have stepped away from the gaming community, actually. I want to buy a game that works. I don't think that's the hardest thing to ask, but that's the world we're living in. And credit where it's due, Mortal Kombat, to my knowledge, has always passed that test since the 90s into the 2020s. It has a massive fan base. If you're going to see a movie called Mortal Kombat, chances are you know what you're getting yourself into. No studio should have to baby feed you something that you already know and love. That just reeks of ego, and bless them, they don't know. It panders to its audience unnecessarily. There is no tournament either in this movie. There is no Mortal Kombat tournament. It's a prequel to the tournament. And again, why is that the choice? It's called Mortal Kombat, and Mortal Kombat is a tournament. That's kind of what it is. Like, that is the meat and gravy of what this is. So you decided to scrape 3/4 of the main course off your plate and just work with the peas and the garnish and try and make a full dish out of that. Yeah. Not your greatest move, to be honest with you. This film just feels so all over the place, choppy, doesn't know what it wants to be. The first 10 minutes of this movie were incredible. It's the backstory to Scorpion and Sub-Zero and why they dislike each other. I thought for a minute it might be going down that road and Quan Chi would be revealed later, as Mortal Kombat fans will know what that twist is. That never came, and it was put on a back burner as soon as those 15 minutes were over. And it goes on and you meet Cole, Jax, Sonya, Kano. There's a couple of fights in there. And actually all of this was still really good. Really enjoyable, following it, invested. But on my second viewing, I could almost feel the moment where this enjoyment stopped, and it's around the time where Jax gets his arms worked on. The film just seems to come to a crushing halt at that moment, all to just discuss unnecessary lore, how people get their powers. You don't need to explain that. This is a completely mind-bending, what the hell is going on universe. You don't need to explain how somebody had a power. People can just have powers. You don't need to explain how the Transformers turn from a robot into a car. You're creating extra work for yourself unnecessarily, and no one's interested in it. Just boring and stupid. And I don't really know why it's there. I should just touch on the cast actually with the characters I have mentioned. Casting was good in my opinion. Generally speaking, everyone was pretty good. I wasn't crazy about the casting for Raiden. I don't know if that was necessarily the actor or the writing for the character, but he just seemed such an afterthought. And Shang Tsung as well. I think a big thing with his character is, in the original Mortal Kombat, the actor was phenomenal as Shang Tsung.
Fatality.
And here, he just seems to be phoning it in, saying all these quotes, but without any real venom or passion, and yeah, it's just not doing it for me.
Your soul is mine.
But Kano steals the show. His one-liners genuinely had me laughing out loud at times. Sonya was fine. I still think the best version of Sonya is the 1995 version of Sonya. Jax is a huge improvement from Annihilation. Huge improvement, but I think the writing, it just doesn't let the audience connect to them. I don't think it's necessarily about the performance. I couldn't stand Kabul. I thought he was just terrible. No. What was that Brooklyn accent all about? Why are his lines so bad? It says something about like, oh, I love it when they scream before they get decapitated. And it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, Kabul was always really interesting to me in the games. He's a good guy turned bad. I like those sort of characters. They're really complex at times, but no, this guy's just a shady underground character who talks too much and is a shallow representation of what Kabul could be. The action, when it is there, it's good. It's just, again, it's very nonsensical violence. People are just fighting each other for whatever reason. It's not because of a tournament. It's not because of any actual character relations between each other. It's just, this is a Mortal Kombat movie and we decided not to do a tournament, but we've got no excuse to give people fights now. So just fight, I guess. The writing of the story makes no sense at times, and I feel purposely writes itself into its own drama. For example, Kung Lao is killed at the end, but the way he is killed is completely avoidable. Raiden decides to bring Cole across to where the big fight's happening, because Cole defeated Goro, but in bringing Cole to this big fight, he basically puts Cole in prime danger. Cole is about to be killed, and because Cole is about to be killed, Kung Lao comes in, saves the day, and is killed on Cole's behalf. Now, Raiden, being a god and everything, and quite strong and knowledgeable and powerful, why in God's name would he teleport a pretty god-awful fighter into a war zone with a fucking target on his head? Wouldn't you just teleport him somewhere else, play the long game, potentially even lead your enemy into believing that he has succeeded, and keep that trick up your sleeve for the sequel? It doesn't take writing masterclass to sort of figure this out. It's quite simple. They just went for the most generic nonsense instead of actual, intrigue. No, it's all just spelt out for you in the most dull ABC 1, 2, 3 way they possibly can. But when they do have fights, were they entertaining? Yeah, mostly, yeah, they were. There's some really gory stuff in there, and I suppose if that's what you're coming for, then yeah, you're gonna be happy. I myself, I was hoping there would be a little bit more weight to it, though. I thought the characters would be a little bit more invested in each other, a little bit more hateful towards each other, a little bit more history with each other, because at times it does just kind of feel like action figures, just sort of beating each other over the head and stuff. Sub-Zero and the Scorpion thing literally does not come up again until the last 10 minutes of the movie. Feels completely tacked on. Why Sub-Zero kills Scorpion's family but doesn't kill Cole's family, despite using the exact same method on both. Don't know, doesn't make sense. I guess because Cole's the main character and God, we couldn't have him lose his family. Just such poor writing that really lets down a film with what I believe had all the potential in the world. But ultimately, despite the good things in there, which there definitely are. Like I say, the casting, the fights. This script just lets it down entirely, and it wouldn't have been hard to fix. That's what's really annoying about it, is I don't even feel like it needed to be completely torn up, started fresh. I just feel like it needed another week or two to just fine-tune things. Just, that doesn't make sense. How do we do that? Is that necessary? If they had done that, I feel like this film could have been amazing. But instead, I'm just sort of middle of the road with it. And I'm afraid to say that I'm going to give Mortal Kombat 2021 a 6 out of 10. I believe that's the same rating I gave the 95 version, which is quite an insult actually when you consider there's nearly 25 years between each of them, and they both got the same score. And if you genuinely asked me which one would I rather watch, I'd sooner watch the original. It's just more entertaining. This one has the fights and the violence, but has none of the story. Or the interest, really. Thanks for watching this review. If you could leave a like, comment and subscribe, let me know what you thought of the movie in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.